Well, hey, hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey, Reagan.
So here we are, Saturday. Well, in Ohio, Iowa, and New Jersey.
Here we are.
So
I'm
we got a good show today, and we got
Not
special guests. I'm sorry.
I'm in Kansas, not
Oh,
Iowa.
that's right. You're in Kansas. Okay, all right.
Get it, Steve.
Geography. What can I say? So, boy, we got a really good show today, and sorry we missed last week, but rescue kind of takes the front door here. I mean, the lead here.
Yeah, we had a lot going on.
Yeah, we had a busy rescue week last week.
Yes, we did.
So anyway, we got, well, as promised, we have our boy Bo with us, and I think we'll just open it with a little video I made of him, and then we'll bring Reed up and bring Bo up, and we can say hi.
Sounds good.
Well, hi, Bo.
Hi.
Hi, Reed. How you doing?
Hey, Reed.
We're going to make you just a little bit bigger here, I think, as soon as I figure it out. There we go. Well, what a handsome dog you have there.
Yeah, he's a pretty boy. I'm trying
Okay,
to
so,
get
wow. All right. We're going to turn you up just a little bit. There you go. That should be fine. So, what can you tell us about him, his little quirks and his age and weight?
Well, Bo is a lover. He wants to be on his person all of the time. He loves my cats and gets along well with my dogs. He's very easy. He's very sweet, and he is 2 years old, and he just wants to be by his person. He just wants to be pet and sleep on top of you.
Wow. Plum on top of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you have that one. You got a new blanket when you adopt him.
I should have shared that one picture, Reed, where he was laying on top of you.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't see Reed. She's so tiny, and he was just laying on top of her, and all she could see is like the top of her head.
Yep. And very.
Looks like you have a pair of animals. Sorry, Reed. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying there he is with my two, and they all get on my bed, and
it looks like you have a pair of Anatolian Shepherds there. Is that about right?
Yes, I do.
And he fit in pretty well, didn't he?
Yep, and he plays well with them, and he's definitely he's very good at following them. I'll say that.
That's good.
They are in charge, and he's just here to play with them and lay next to them.
Okay. Now we have an age on him, right?
2, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
2 years old. Okay. And how big is that guy?
He is smaller. I want to say we said like around 90.
He's 90 pounds. He's a little guy in comparison to average.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
now I want to bring this up. When we first brought him in, the very first picture I ever saw of him was this one. And I was looking at that, and I'm saying either that's a big dog and a short guy, or that's a small dog and a big guy. And it turns out it was a big guy. All right. So what kind of home would he need? Does he need another dog, or can he be an only dog?
I think that he would be good with either. I think it's more about the person. I think he wants love from the person, and I mean, I think he leans on my other dogs to like know what's going on a little bit.
Okay.
But that I think he's happy just laying next to somebody.
Right.
That's really all he wants to do.
Okay. Now, just before we went live, we were talking about him just a little bit, and we were talking about thunderstorms, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
And you said that this particular picture here was during a thunderstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And so your Anatolians aren't the greatest with that type of environment either, then, are they?
No, they're not. They don't love them.
And were they comforting each other?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was on the other side of them, and the two of them were cuddling up with each other.
Okay. Yeah, I figured you had somebody had to take that picture.
Yep, that was me just laying with them, and Ripple's
Okay.
looking out the window, listening to the storm, and Bo kind of just got up and they just kind of spooned each other.
All right, yeah. Well, gprescue.com. If you want to apply, you can apply for any dog right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions, Linda or Reagan, or anything to add?
No, nothing to add. I think Reed covered it.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was kind of a rough surrender, right?
Yeah, he was. It
wasn't
was
his fault in any way. It was medical.
a very sad situation for the dog and the owner. Yes.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and I
He
believe
was loved, obviously.
And I believe
Yeah.
you're keeping the owner updated, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Mhm.
That's part of what rescue is about.
Yes.
Yep.
And,
He spent his first nights with me in bed, just like this, laying on me. So he definitely was loved and wants to be loved all of the time.
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
And we got some pretty nice comments there. And does he like to be brushed?
Yeah, he's good. He's good with being brushed because when he came to us, he was a little bit rough, and he lets me cut his nails, and he lets me.
How did he do at the groomer, Reed? He did good at the groomer, correct?
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
really well. They said that he was super sweet and patient
Mhm.
the whole time because I
Mhm.
know the majority of what they needed to do was on his belly.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that's kind of an awkward, long process. So he was.
I mean, how lucky of a person to get him, right, Steve?
Yeah.
How does he do with cats?
Oh, he loves them.
Oh.
And he doesn't like look for them or anything, but if he's laying right here and they come up, I mean, I have a kitten that I can sit on top of him and he's just like, oh, okay.
Reminds me of Griffin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find it real quick here because I forgot to bring it up. But there it is right there. I don't know how I forgot to bring this picture up. Another one of the early pictures that we saw of him. As a matter of fact, you probably saw it in his video. Was that picture?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A different cat. So there's two of them, and I think he might do okay with cats. And,
They were barn cats.
Oh, okay. How does he do
Mhm.
on a leash when you walk him?
He's really good. He's honestly he's better than my two. He doesn't pull. He's just he does whatever you tell him to do. He's
He's
just
perfect.
He's along for the walk. He's like
All
just
right.
checking stuff out.
Okay. I wanna address this real quick. We if you there's instructions on for you're commenting from a group, and groups are different than pages. So if you would click the link down there at the bottom of the description, you'll have the option to say yes and give Facebook permission to send your comment out of a private group. Okay. And it only happens just during the show.
And I agree with the Facebook user. Someone is going to be truly blessed to get him. That's for sure.
That's right. Agreed.
Mhm.
You're gonna hit the jackpot.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes. And
Handsome and super sweet.
He's so
Yeah.
pretty. He's got his spots on him and his ears.
Yeah. He's
got-
gorgeous.
He's got
Yeah.
very pretty markings.
Yes.
all right. So GPRescue.com.
Oh.
That's where you go. And there's other dogs too, and we'll be showing them in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Reed, thank you for bringing Bo
Thanks.
up here.
Thanks for coming on, Reed.
Yeah, of
Thank you for
course.
fostering him, because without fosters, we're nothing. We got no
That's right.
So, and then the donors make it happen. So it kind of takes a little bit of a village there. So,
I always say my fosters are the heart of the rescue, and that's the
that
truth.
is right.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
right. All right. So, Reed, I'm going to send you back down to the green room, and
Okay,
you're
cool.
more than welcome to watch the rest of the show from there. All right.
Thanks, Reed.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. We got Roman down here too. And hi, Roman.
Hey, Roman.
How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. How you doing?
Good. It's start getting cold here in Oregon.
It's
Mm.
starting to get cold in Oregon.
Already?
Okay. So
Wow.
there we have what we have our weather report. All right. So now I'm going to take a vote here. We have we are streaming to the Great Pyrenees Advice and Support Rebooted group,
Mhm.
and you know I pretty sure, and there's some group watchers here. I don't know which group because they didn't click the permission thing, and so we may have some questions. But I sent you a question, didn't I, Ron? And
Yeah.
okay, and I believe that's somebody that the rescue knows.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you want me to read it to the folks, or do you have it there where you want to, or how do you want to work that?
Mm.
Because I will have
So
to.
everybody can hear it.
All right, I will have to. I don't have it staged. I have something different staged. So, in the meantime, while I'm bringing this file up, I'm going to turn this over to, well, Roman, Linda, and Reagan. If you guys can think of something to say while I'm just doing my idle gibberish here, then just filling up airtime, and I will bring that question up. All right. I just
Okay.
forgot to bring it up. So I'll be right back now.
Okie dokie.
Okay, let's say something here before I leave.
So you're gonna bring the question up. So the question comes from one of our previous adopters.
Okay.
She adopted 2 of our dogs. Wonderful, wonderful family. We love them. So I hope that we can give her some clarification and some help on her issue.
And isn't it a two-part? Two
2-part
different-
question. Yep, Reagan. Yep.
So first of all, I like, Linda, when you said the most important piece on your rescue are the fosters.
Mm-hmm.
That's a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
You need wheels, you need a driver, but the vehicle are fosters.
Yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, many rescues thinks that skeleton is boarding.
Mm-hmm.
I call this like dog parking lots. So
Mhm.
dogs park there. There's no evolution. There's just stress. Very rare dog improves in a boarding situations. The
Yes.
boarding facility is not obligated in any means to help that dog, train the dog. All they do is feeding, letting the dog. That's the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's expensive for a rescue to have the dog in boarding.
Mm-hmm.
It's less expensive to a rescue to have the dog in foster care, and it's more beneficial to the dog to be in foster care. It's not that the foster has to carry the cost per se, but the foster doesn't have overhead cost that the shelter has.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it naturally comes in less expensive and more effective to the dogs.
Right.
Plus, it's very important for a dog who has been not socialized, for a dog who hasn't been in a home, for that foster home to become the transition or the middle home or in between home, for actually to do the assessment who the dog really is.
Mm-hmm.
That this assessment cannot be done in a shelter, cannot be done in a free environment.
Mm-hmm.
It has to happen through the foster, and that's why it's also important the foster education.
Yes.
which is part of the rescue's job.
Mhm.
Because if a foster is well educated, he can have more foster dogs than one.
Right.
It becomes kind of like a healing space and a training space at the same time.
Mhm.
And of course, it is very rewarding for the foster themselves to see how much they can contribute to a dog.
Mhm.
Yes, there's a foster fatigue, and yes, there is sometimes the foster gets overwhelmed with behaviors, and that's why there's a foster support team behind that gives the foster that support and training. And not many foster-based training, sorry, not many foster-based rescues have that ability and have that knowledge and have that education. I know many rescues who have fosters support them, and then all of a sudden, once the dog is safe, that foster is being forgotten and their dog is being forgotten. They fall between the cracks. And if you don't yell and scream, then you don't get support.
Yeah.
So thank you back to you guys for doing that.
Okay, I've got the question up. Okay, so she adopted her dog, her peer named Mac. Okay, he was, and the key to this is was. So he was great on walks in the beginning, but but as he got more comfortable with us, he became more protective on walks. He goes ballistic when he sees any other dog around our house, or even at a distance away from the house. He doesn't. Oh, wait a minute. Away from the house, he doesn't act that way. Now she said he outweighs me, and yeah, that could happen too. I don't want him to hurt someone, and he's clearly way over threshold. Okay, he is. He's only under threshold in the backyard, and when I work with him back there, he's only under threshold pronunciation, right? He's only under threshold in the backyard, and when I work with him back there, I've stopped walking him. Mac will transfer onto Binky, another rescue. They were rescued together. They got two dogs together. All right. In the backyard, if he gets in the way or they're playing, Mac goes into protection mode, and maybe Binky doesn't pick up on it right away. He has taken on the job to protect the yard from the birds and passerby. He says, she's supervising the play right now all the time, but she doesn't have a clue how to attempt to work on this behavior. So we've got a lot going on there, don't we, Roman?
Yeah. I try to keep the overview still in my head. So we're looking at a complex behavior. And there are many factors that play a role here. First, it seems to me that there is a attachment problem there. The dog, the way he attaches to the family is kind of more from an insecure side. The next problem that I see could be an underlying medical condition. We're going to talk about at the end. The other part that I see could be trauma related. So the dog doesn't feels especially that relationship, the way it's being built, that needs to be forced, kind of protected. And then the other factor that I see is there's a lot of anxiety behind that, and fear, but also frustration that can also be redirected towards his partner. I would say, without dramatizing, but more for educational purposes, it could easily go wrong, the situation. So far it seems that the foster has kind of a good grip on the situation, but I feel they got stuck. And so one way to unstuck them is to kind of rule out certain things, so we kind of keep things moving a little bit. So first of all, I would like to talk about functional behaviors. So dogs can show behaviors beyond the emotional reason just because of the functionality of it. They can use one or more reason to show a specific behavior. One, for example, could be for gaining more, whatever that could be. Room safety, gaining advantage, feeling more comfortable, or get a preferred situation out of it. The other reason could be escape or avoidance. The dog offers a behavior to make things avoid. Is that the response of Nicole? She's the foster?
She's the adopter.
Okay. Oh, she's already adopted. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't say medical conditions, medical underlying conditions, something we haven't seen yet. So we're going to talk about that. The other reason the dog can show these behaviors for escape or avoidance. The dog wants to avoid the situation, wants to avoid an incident, or wants to avoid a stressor. The other one could be social attention. So the dog gets overly excited to interact with it, and then it becomes all of a sudden an anxiety because it doesn't know how to do that in particular in this new situation. The other part could be communicating, and I'm not talking about that particular case, but in general. The other part could be a sensory overload. So the dog is overly sensory overwhelmed with the situation, starts being accumulating, starting on a walk, going outside on a walk. It could be the temperature, it could be the situation, could be the environment. And then the other part could be also power and control, because the dog in particular feels powerless or overwhelming, needs to support the handler in certain situations. So he wants to add more of that power and control in order to control the situation and its outcome. But sometimes there are also multiple things happening at the same time. So 3 or 4 of those incidents can happen for the same reason. So the dog kind of creates one particular behavior to fit several purposes. So one thing that I see very often lately, and I could kind of give it kind of a title, would be underlying medical conditions that cause the dog to get overwhelmed with the environment. One thing that's very common, and I don't want to sound like an anti-vaxxer, but sometimes because of genetic information the dogs have, a rabies vaccination can trigger and let's call it a predisposition on the dog to show rabies-like behaviors that are not really rabies. And that can have really broad effects. And I want to be very careful how I post things or express things, because I don't want people to take it the wrong way. The first thing that I usually see is dog hypersensitivity and easily overwhelmed with situations, uncontrolled emotional ways of expressing himself into the environment are likely to be looked at rabies miasm. So one thing that I always check out of my list is that. Usually without affecting the dog's, let's call it immunity, not immunity. Oh man, what is the word now?
I don't know your word.
Without affecting the dog's antibodies on rabies, doing a detox protocol that helps the dog with his rabies miasm is a good way to start. It's only beneficial, right? Sometimes we get a dog from rescue or from the street free roaming and we don't know the history, so we do a whole booster vaccinations and a whole set of vaccinations after that. So the dog naturally is being over-vaccinated without really the rescue can be able to avoid it. And then sometimes those side effects can kick in a week, a month, half of a year later with no particular timeline. But the whole picture of behaviors points to that direction.
How often have you seen that, Roman? How often have you seen?
I would say it's 6 out of 10 people that I'm working with. So now I'm working with people who have behavior issues. I'm not saying that the average of dogs out there 6 out of 10, but of those who have behavior issues, 6 out of 10 are likely to have rabies miasm. And the reason why I know that number is because 6 out of 10 people who I suggest to do the rabies miasm protocol, 6 of them improve immediately after the protocol starts. So it's kind of directly connected, and we haven't done anything yet other than changing food. So these two things come basically together. Now, one thing that I also see...
Excuse me, just 1 second.
Yes, yes.
But the rabies vaccination is the law. How do we do this?
Well, you have to do the rabies vaccinations for most states.
You can
have to vaccinate, but for some other states and more advanced states, there is a whole movement behind that that says you don't have to vaccinate as long as the dog is immune or has antibodies.
Right.
So titer test is the solution. Now, of course, there is a contribution to that. Titer test costs several $100s because you need to do blood work. You need to send it to a laboratory and get the feedback. So that adds to a cost versus $45 with the
Yes.
vaccinations. And people says, yeah, just vaccinate, we're done. Okay, no big deal. But considering that can cause several behavior issues and eventually the dog's death at the end because of behavior euthanasia, and I put it out there, it's totally worth the money. I do this with my dogs, and that's why I can kind of represent that idea that I haven't vaccinated my dogs for the last 8 years, but I do titer test. Okay,
Yeah.
and the
Same
titer
here.
test can give you that feedback on not really how much, like in a volume, but based on the antibodies. And I'm not a specialist on that, but how protected the dog is. It's necessary to add another vaccine to kind of help him support it. Now
I know.
we know
I'm sorry, Roman. I know that you had helped me detox my Gus after rabies vaccine, and he had aggressive behaviors after. So I do titer testing now. But do you see it often in a certain breed or any breed of dog?
Yes. So two things. If the puppies born are likely to be already protected from their genetic sharing with the parents, so the dogs have immunity, the puppies have immunity. Sorry, my English is very poor on this part. And so we have to be very careful if we do puppy vaccinations, that these vaccinations not only eliminate the already protection the dog has from his mother, but destroying the whole vaccination system because it conflicts with it. Right? Meaning is the dog after the vaccination is actually not immune to this rabies vaccine because it had a conflict with the existing rabies immunity from the parents. That's why we always suggest to wait with the rabies vaccinations to that level, usually 3 to 4 months, making sure the dog doesn't have a protection from his parents, and so that vaccinations doesn't have a conflict. So I suggest talk to your veterinarian about it, who is open-minded to share with you things. I would not recommend to work with a veterinarian who tells you do it because I told you so, because there's a lot of scientific evidence that tells me exactly the opposite. But anyway, I'm not a veterinarian. I don't know about anything. I'm just sharing my personal experience. Now, with some breeds are more sensitive to toxins than others. So it depends on the dog's immune system, how they process it. And we know already scientific that some breeds are more, I don't know exactly the breeds, that are more receptive to the boosters and the vaccinations because the immune system works accordingly. So it depends on the immune system of each individual dog, and it doesn't depend in particular on the breed. But we see that more breeds or less breeds are more or less sensitive to those vaccinations and how it affects the immune system.
Right.
But I know for the more pure a breed is and the more natural a breed is, like Pyrenees, Maremma, Kovac, the Russian sheepdogs, the Greek sheepdogs, the Anatolian sheepdogs, all these breeds are so pure and so natural bonded that their immune system is not able to process so much heavy metals and so much stuff that's in these toxins streaming in their blood. So this is what I see very high sensitivities. And I usually work with guardian breeds and large Mastiff breeds. And unfortunately, we have the same problems with the Mastiff breeds too.
Okay.
Plus, we have another
good
issue
information.
if we don't have morals and ethics in place. So if the dog doesn't understand morals and ethics in the family system, those triggers can escalate to a potential of being dangerous. The dog may redirect his frustrations towards his partner if there is no moral and ethical regulations in place.
Okay.
Now, back to the training. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I was going to say, how do we help Nicole?
So I would say eliminate first the underlying medical conditions. Go through a rabies miasm protocol. I can give a couple of resources that I work with and I'm very comfortable about recommending them. The next thing you want to do is you want to improve nutritional intake, because even though we believe we feed healthy, sometimes the manufacturer is lying to us and we're not really feeding what we're supposed to feed.
Right.
So and I'm happy to suggest a couple of brands based on the dog breed and energy levels the dogs are working with and the age, to go to at least healthier convenience food. I don't want even to name brands or particular directions. on the way the food is assembled. And then the next thing we want to look for is how we respond on the first initial reactivity on the dog. Yes, the dog is in a new home. He wants to guard his home because he feels he doesn't want to lose his home again. This is a trauma that we cannot avoid, that the dog loses his previous home, loses his foster, comes to an adopter, and that bonding comes in with hiccups. The dog is like, but I'm not with my parents, and I think the reason why I lost my home because I wasn't good enough. And I know it's a projection, but it's what looks like psychology basic. It's appropriate to believe. And the dog tries more and more to be compliant what he considers are his traits. So if we're not aware of his breed traits and we let things happening on their own, the dog will take this maximum on breed traits that he has, which is a guardian trait, if that is not framed in a job description, what is appropriate and what not. And so a dog who comes in from a field, the only thing he did, whatever he felt doing, and all of a sudden now he's framed as a pet under quotes, and he's now pet behaving, but he comes in from other traits and he has to change that. It goes through a process. So it's very important, at least for the first 3 or 4 weeks of his new imprint in his new home, to go through an important imprinting process. Who am I? What is my job in my family? What the family expects from me to do? What is my place in that family? And that's why the foster is a very important step, because the foster starts implementing that pattern. Okay, the way the dog imprints. And the way the dog imprints may be so important because he never had that imprinting before. He was a backyard breeder's dog. He was just dumped to the sheep, to the goats, and he had no parenting support there. And so the dog doesn't know how its safety feels like. And so in a new place, he comes back to his old trauma, that being the reason why the dog overreacts, because he's coming from a trauma brain. So we have to see that eventually as a trauma response. And then what we have to check in is how we respond to these individual behaviors, because if we are stressed about the dog's stressed behavior, then we're stressing the dog out with our behavior. The dog starts being stressful over that behavior, which escalates the whole thing exponential. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of a complex situations, but a very great example how things can go wrong from so many places. And I really appreciate for asking that question. And it shows that you guys are willing to manage it. And I think that's a way to start.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
While this is working, because detox takes a little while, is there anything she can do now for the redirecting on her other dog?
Yes. Yes and no. I don't know the other dog's behavior traits, and I don't really have a good behavior profile. So what I usually do when I do online classes or online sessions is I create a behavior profile from each dog in the family, but also get a behavior profile from the family itself. So we get a family profile from each individual, like the FBI does. Create the profile for the person they want to find and understand how the next behavior would look like. And usually we can narrow it down to a few things that we are not able to control. So we're focusing on this where we can control. So we have the genetics that we know that happens. We're going to do a genetic behavior profile assessment. And then we have the environmental factors that we have to deal with, which is food, environment, house, tactics, training skills, parenting relationship, attachment relationships. All these things have to be captured. And then from there, then we can see what is the best options to handle it. Or, generally speaking, it would be the generally answer, not really helping the situation. I would say the first thing is I have to stop the free fall. I have to stop the other dog being exposed in domestic violence. One dog is violent over the other dog over something that frustrates him, and there's nobody there to protect it. So I would say proactive rather than reactive is the cause. So don't let the dogs being out there on their own, dealing with their own problems, if there's nobody there to not only supervise it, but being proactive intervention. So if there is a stressor coming up, I should be able to call my dogs back to me and keep them safe in my area. And if the dogs are not being able to be called back, then I would not have the dogs playing as for now until we get things under control. because the last thing we want is this experience of domestic violence between the dogs with each other become to a problem, and there's nothing I can help you with once you stop trusting your own dogs, right? And then the other thing that we can easily improve is already food and nutrition. That can easily be improved. So a bad quality food or a food that's not really helping the dog can cause internal stress, and that this internal stress just come up to the tops.
Okay. She says she's
Nicole,
cooking
is
ground
the,
beef.
I'm cooking for them now ground beef, veggies, rice, but we'll take suggestions. I'm very careful about suggesting self-cooking. You need to really be aware what the diet of a dog looks like, what the dietary needs of a dog looks like. My recommendation would be, once you talk to the person that I would recommend, this person, her name is Brenda Tobin. She is a veterinary, homeopath, and certified nutritionist. So you have one thing on one shot. Okay. The good thing is, once we have a blood work done, and usually the rescue has done it already, we can already see tendencies that the dog needs more and more support. So that would be very helpful. Yes, probiotics and prebiotics are important, especially around the digestive system. Usually dogs who come in from over vaccinations or stressful environment or low quality food from shelters, on the streets and all this stuff, can cause leaky guts, would cause another big picture there where the dog's basically immune system is over threshold already, and that's again accumulating to the whole picture. I know I've become very scientific right now.
Wow. See, that was that's why we only gave you one question today. I knew that was going to be
behavior
involved.
is so complex in dogs, just like with children. Just because the child is aggressive to his schoolmates doesn't mean the child is a bad child.
That's
we always
right.
have to see that.
Oh, max recall is bad too.
Yeah. Well, that's a normal thing to happen, especially for Pyrenees. We know they have a bad hearing, right? And many people will call that, stubbornness. I would say it's actually a breed trait, and it's persistence, but it can go wrong if the secure attachment is not
Yes,
being established.
I agree, Roman.
It's very important. It's fine if the dogs play with other dogs, but it's not my primary need right now. I would say the dog should bond with people first before he's being thrown to the dogs.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question, Roman. If Nicole wanted to follow up with you, what would be her best route to do it on your Facebook page or your website? What would be?
I think the best route, go to my website, which is holisticdogtraining.org, and either go to the online section and schedule a behavior assessment session. I know some people will freak out because they think it's kind of like, oh, it's so much money. But I would say at least you know what you're dealing with to the T, okay, to the point. And it's not expensive, considering that you can waste little money forever and not getting what you need. But even if you get that information, you can then make your own informed decisions which route to go. So
You get what you pay for.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I would say you get more than you pay for in that case. I've worked with people with just that one session, and they just know what happened, and they can address it themselves because they have already those skills. And if they don't have those skills, then I have training programs that help them go through it. So I have basically 3 programs. The one is a 3-session program. It's not a sales pitch. I'm just explaining to you what I do. The one is a 3-session program, which the first session is the behavior assessment, and the other one is the follow-up session, and then a quick sessions by the end, just to keep things safe on the long run. And then I have a secure attachment program, who basically walks people through the whole process of attachment and addressing those behaviors that are attachment-based behaviors. And then we have the more advanced, which is the healing program, that has, this is my let's call it my armada, when we have aggression involved, when we don't know exactly what's going on, so we have to go and check out everything. So the best one is the 7-week program, which is the secure attachment program, and the other one is a 12-week program that basically goes through everything. No matter what the dog has ever had happen to him, that's the best route to go, based on what I know and what I see in the industry.
Okay.
Wow. She is right. That was a complex question.
I don't want you to regret the question. I appreciate the question. It's just so many things that deal with it. So that would be a perfect example for somebody who wants to do a workshop, and I would say a case study. That would be a perfect case study.
Okay. Are you in Manny's house again?
Yeah, as usual.
Right.
Manny
That's
is
Manny's
resting
house.
right now. So
No.
Manny, for example, is one of those cases where he's a dog who's being likely used for other things other than being a pet, and I don't want even to name it. And so he has a severe trauma, and so we're working already for the dog not to be reactive on the presence of a dog that's even not real.
So I figured you were either in Manny's hut or you got arrested and you're in jail, and I didn't think you were in jail, so I figured.
Yeah.
All righty,
I'm
Roman.
spending a lot
Thanks
of time
for
with him because I'm kind of his foster trainer at that point. So foster healing program he's on. It's a pilot project that we do with the Humane Society in Rock Valley. And I think it's very successful. We have done already a lot of work in these couple of weeks that he's here.
Yep. So, yeah. All right. So I don't know what your schedule's like. Do you need to go back down to the green room so you can excuse yourself, or you want to stay up?
Yeah, I have an appointment coming up with another Pyrenees that we need to help here. So
okay. And for the folks that are in the group for the Great Pyrenees Advice and Support Group, you guys already know about Ronan, and he'll be back next week, and we'll be streaming to your group next week. So
thanks, Roman.
put two and two together.
Power to the
Roman,
foster.
I really appreciate you coming, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
great. Thanks.
Wow, that was cool. I don't know how else to put it. And he makes a valid point.
He does.
What happens is the Great Pyrenees and a lot of guardian breeds, they don't metabolize this properly. And so that is a problem. So now,
well, I mean, the good thing is Nicole is going to do whatever it takes to make this right. We know her well enough to know that. So I hope that she got some help today.
Yes. And so he's got a lot of thank yous here. That was some good information now. And because I always wanted to know, wait a minute, rabies vaccines, the law, you're telling us to not do this? Okay, so I had to get that out there. Now, in my county here, they don't accept the rabies titer, but the next county it does. So now that's the state.
Yes, you have to check with your county that you're in if they accept that or not. Yes,
that is correct, absolutely.
Because you don't want your dog to bite someone, and you have a titer that means nothing.
That's right.
Then you're in trouble.
That's right. So, all right, now, wow. Now's the point where if you have any questions for us, just rescue in general, like, why do you take that ugly dog? It's not easy to do. Okay, feel free to ask it. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay? And while you're thinking of that, we're going to go on with our talking points, because personally I've experienced it with 3 Pyrenees, not personally, my dogs are in rescue, and until then I'd never even experienced any dogs that had bloat.
Yes.
So we had 2 of them that happened 18 hours apart from each other. They were 3,000 miles away, or about 2,000 miles away from each other. So so wow. So now we're not vets, okay, and we don't seem to be. So we have some stuff up here that is from vets, okay. And for example, everybody knows, well, a lot of you know who Tufts University is, and then the Morris Animal Foundation in Denver. They work tight. They're both research facilities, okay. And this new research on bloat, which is our talking point. If you guys can see the date, this just got published February of this year. This is new information. Okay. So do we take everything that they've told us over the years and throw it away? Absolutely not. Bloat is ongoing studies. They've been studying it for over 30 years. Okay. And basically what this comes down to is they're starting to see that fermentation is creating the gas that causes bloat and then makes the stomach flip over easier. Two different conditions. So are you aware of that? I mean, you're aware of that, obviously, Linda and Reagan both. So have you ever experienced it, either one of you?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not, but I had an episode with Zeke this week that I thought may have been bloat. So my vet recommended going to the ER because he doesn't do that surgery in case he needed it. And his work was perfect, but his X-rays showed some trauma to his hip. But he was panting and would not lay down, just pacing. So he had a couple of the symptoms, but not all of them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we could go over some of the symptoms, Steve, but I think all dogs are unique too. They're all not going to have all the symptoms. They're all not going to have, you know, three of the 7. You know, it's always going to be different to each dog. But always remember too, like Steve said, we are not veterinarians. Always, always, always check with your veterinarian. Do not come to Facebook for medical advice.
No.
Because we are not it. You have to call your vet.
Right. So, and this is why I bring up our literature. Tufts and those are medical people. Okay. And there's, I mean, you can find stuff everywhere now. But is everybody going to agree with everything? No. Because they keep finding stuff that's consistent, but it's been happening for over 30 years. Now, I've been working with this breed, the Guardian breeds, for 32 years, and I never saw a case of bloat. I never heard of bloat until I came into rescue, but I never saw a case of bloat until just a few years ago. So, and then I didn't see it physically; it was video. But now actually, the dogs died of bloat, and let's talk about that. Well, I'll tell you what, once that happens, there's a time clock that starts ticking. And you don't have much time. Right? And Ashley, thanks for coming on. Ashley's with she's in Utah. Ashley's with the Great Pyrenees Rescue of Montana. So now, symptoms, okay? Distended stomach, retching. I'm not sure what retching is.
It's throwing up.
Okay. But it's bile. Okay?
Yes.
So if they drink water,
it's a hangover type thing, Steve. You know, the hangover, you know, dry heaves.
And what happens is, if the stomach flips, okay, then they take a drink of water. It ain't got nowhere to go. It comes back. So and then there's gas. So, and it's very, very important. These are the symptoms, and you don't have just. I mean, it depends on when you find them too, because if you don't notice it and then it takes you an hour to say, oh my God, this ain't good. Well, you just cut your time down to save your dog. And because what happens, you're cutting off things and other organs start going away too.
It's a fast killer.
Yes, it is. And now, is there a time limit? Yeah. If I wanted to put a time limit on it, I would say haul butt to the vet. And go to your emergency vet. Now, we were told that to help with it, buy you a little more time, like Pepsid. All right, give them a Pepsid to help. But anyway, the gums will be pale. They're trying to vomit, but nothing comes out sometimes because the stomach's twisted. Panting heavily, distress. And whenever a dog pants, it just doesn't mean they're tired. There's so many other things. Okay? Stress is one of them, one of the big things. And then the hyper, whatever that word is, excessive drooling. Dogs don't stand there and drool for no reason. All right, there's going to be a reason. Well, some do, but not typically.
Right.
And then the pacing, relentless. There's a good clue. Anytime behavior changes in your dog, always start paying attention.
The dog is letting you know he's uncomfortable.
That is absolutely correct. Now, so now we have what can we do to prevent this? All right. So here's where a lot of confusion is going to come into play. and it always has. So everybody says elevate the bowl, or no, half the vets say elevate the bowl. The other half of the vets say, well, don't elevate the bowl. So what do the study people say? Well, it says here gulping the food is a problem. And if you don't elevate it, it's harder they can't gulp it.
Yes.
So they are actually recommending to not elevate the food. Right? Now, I don't know about you, but I elevate my food.
I do too.
I don't.
But I also don't have gulpers either. I have grazers.
Right. And now I don't have gulpers either. I have the pickiest eaters on the planet.
Yes.
Because they're Great Pyrenees. Right? Now, they're talking about the 9-inch elevation, which is standard. My boy can't reach the floor. He's got long legs. Right? And he's a whining crybaby, just like his dad. So it can be elevated just a little bit so he can reach it. But they're saying that helps slow it down. Now, and the studies have shown, by the way, the name of the clinical name for bloat is gastric dilation volvulus or something like that. That's the GDV. So, now, another thing that they're saying is the gulping of the food naturally gets it in there, and also it doesn't digest as well either.
Right.
So when they go,
and I would think that you couldn't digest well if you were laying down and eating or sitting down and eating. That's why that's why I always elevated my bowls so everything went down nice and easy.
Right.
But there's so much controversy about it.
There is, yeah, and the reason there's controversy, even this isn't definitive.
No.
Okay, everybody knows Tufts University. They're very well respected. Okay, highly respected university because they do stuff like this. Create some good veterinary behaviorists. But man, see the next study, they could not see the same results.
Right.
So, do you change what you're doing? I'm not.
No, I won't either.
No, so I'm not going to change it until we get more of this. But they are making progress. So, right? Because they are making progress. So, for example, well, first of all, the gas and the twisting of the stomach, that's two different conditions. And once again, I'm not a vet. So we are covering the stomach twisting. Okay. So they have a procedure called, what's it called? Gastroplex or something like that?
Yes.
Where they attach the stomach to the lining of the abdominal wall. And,
yes.
And one of your options would be if you're getting your dog spayed or neutered or something else being done where the dog has to go under anesthesia, excuse me, then there's a suggestion right there because it can save you money because it doesn't have to pay for anesthesia again.
Sure.
And you only have one recovery now for multiple things here. So that is an option. Talk to your vet.
Yes.
Right.
When in doubt, talk to your vet.
That is correct. Always talk to your vet.
Trust your vet.
So,
yes.
And it becomes remarkably extended when the stomach flips. Okay, the dog is fat, and your dog did not gain weight overnight. Okay, not like that. So you always pay attention. You know your dog. You know when your dog's not acting right. Now we're not trying to scare the heck out of you. Well, yeah, I am, because your dog can die within hours. And I'm sure it's not a fun death. Okay. So, and it's also not cheap surgery.
No.
Because one of the folks that the dog had bloat, I was very close to him. All right. And they still live close to me. I just didn't go there during recovery because I didn't want to upset the dog. So,
well, too, Steve, I mean, if you do have a dog that likes to eat fast or gulp, there are slow feeding bowls.
That is correct.
That you can buy.
And the slow feeders, you get the right ones, you can do two things with it. You can also stimulate their brain while they're eating. Keep their brain busy. So, the slow feeders weren't initially invented to slow the dog down from eating. The slow feeders were invented to stimulate the dog's brain in the beginning. So the little maze, or the little bumps in them, but one when we have a dog that's just gulping their food down and we need a quick fix, I'll tell people put a big rock in the center of their bowl around the rock. Okay. But that's not a stimulant, though. That's just that has one purpose, and that's to slow them down.
Yeah.
And the emergency room is where they have to go when their stomach flips. Okay, so we have to always be aware, know the symptoms of bloat, because man, I went 30 years without ever seeing it, and then I know of 3 dogs in a row that had it. And they're all within 3 days of each other, and they were all Great Pyrenees. So deep-chested dogs. Great Dane is ranked at number 1.
Yes, absolutely.
The Saint Bernard was ranked at number 2, and this is where our breed. That's the category ours will fall into. So, wowzer, a lot of talking about, huh?
Yeah, I mean, know the symptoms. There are steps that you can take to prevent it. It's, letting your dog, rest after eating is a way to prevent that.
Yes.
A slow feeding bowl that you could buy on Amazon, Chewy, anywhere, Walmart even, to prevent your dog from gulping down their food. It's, I have often seen, videos sometimes where a dog will come in and just eat off its food real quick, and people laugh because they think it's cute and it's funny. It's not. It's dangerous, and you have to really be careful with that.
Yes.
With deep-chested dogs, I mean, they die quite often from bloat,
and it's more than we even know about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's know the symptoms.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I do is I don't let them out until about 45 minutes after they've eaten.
Yeah.
There was another part that my vet has suggested was, well, don't let them eat 45 minutes from coming in from exercise.
Right.
So
that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, did I do that all my life? Ever since I've had Pyrenees since 1990? No, I have not done that. I didn't know about it. So, I mean, bloat's way more common than you know. Now, maybe there's something changed with what we're doing, or something that's why we're seeing more. Maybe there weren't as many back then, but I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you just hear about it more now.
We have social media now.
You have social media.
And that can be good and that can be bad. So.
Yes, it could go either way for you.
Wow, look what time it is, and we got.
Yeah.
I guess I should probably. I almost forgot about the giveaway draw.
Giveaway. Did he go to get it, or where did he go?
Hey, Reagan.
He disappeared. Hello. I don't know what the giveaway is, so I can't say.
I don't know. It's a surprise. I don't know where Steve went. Anyway, that was a good talking point.
It was.
Yes. Excuse me. My throat's getting dry.
I know. Water.
There he is.
Can you say
Where'd you go,
oops?
Steve?
Yeah, do you know how to say oops? All right, let's try this again. So, and I had actually completely forgot about this. All right, and I do apologize. So, but anyway, I'm setting it up right now.
Okay.
And
you left us in suspense.
Yes, I did. Well, I'll tell you what had happened. Okay. Well, hang on a second here. It would help if I spelled GPRM correctly, wouldn't you think? So
that would help.
If you would be so kind as to, well, in the comment section now, you have to be given. I mean, you have to give, if you're in one of the groups and you didn't give permission, then it's not going to take this. Because if we can't see you, neither can the tool. So if you type in hashtag GPRM, we are going to give away, and it's over yonder. Has anybody ever heard of a treat launcher?
A treat
yeah.
launcher?
It might be like a rocket.
That throws treats.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'll go get it.
I bet Simon would like that.
We should have started our hashtag GPRM 10 minutes ago. Hashtag GPRM to win the giveaway. So type it in the comments if you want a chance to win.
That's
So whoever
correct.
shows up-
And I didn't do that because, I didn't do that because, man, I was really, I was listening to Roman. All right.
Yes.
That's
Ah,
a there.
uh-huh.
So, and that would be helpful for things like, well, believe it or not, crate training.
Uh-huh.
We make one, if you make a game out of the crate training, you, instead of throwing a treat, say go get it, you shoot the treat and say go get it. Don't shoot your dog with the treat launcher. Now oh wow, look at this. I just noticed something. Pure Rescue, whom we are also streaming to, that there's a simple bloat, overheating, excessive gas without the yes, that is correct. They can have bloat without the stomach flipping. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that one, well, it's pretty uncomfortable, but you got a little more time.
You can walk them too, and they can release the gas, and there are ways to release that. Yes.
Yeah. If any of you,
but it's still very important to keep your eye on it, though.
Yeah. If any of you have ever had heartburn, and first thing you start doing is walk around and hope you burp, I think it's something a little bit similar to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, hashtag GPRM, and you get entered to win your rocket launcher here, your treat launcher. So and I'm sorry I didn't bring this up in the beginning. Okay, I apologize. It slipped my mind. Anyway, we're getting some entries. Now our Facebook user couldn't get entered because she didn't give permission. But so we'll give you another minute here, and then we're going to do the drawing. Somebody's going to win because there's only 4 entrants right now.
Yeah, I don't see the comments coming in on the side here though. Is there a reason for that?
I see them.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, Nancy's wondering if the study is online, Steve.
Is this study? Yes, it is. But I will try to get it posted into the comments, but it won't be until Monday. Okay. So it's not. It was published, but for some reason they've got it hidden, and I don't know why. It was directed to me. So anyway, I will get a hold of that Monday, and I'll give it to Reagan so she can get best way to post it. So, but yes, we will get that study online posted. So I think it's time to bring up the drawing. Let's get it done. We're going to make it to where everybody can watch it. How's that? We're going to do it this way. Okay, you see there? There's only 4 entries. Come on, hashtag GPRM. That should.
Well, because the other ones are coming in at Facebook user.
Yeah, I know. Those won't.
These won't work.
Those aren't going to take at all. Yeah, those won't work. If you in the description of the show on both groups that we posted this in, and by the way, we are also for the first time streaming to Great Pyrenees Rescue. The Great Pyrenees of Missouri Facebook group, private group, and if there's a link down there at the bottom of the description of the show, that's where you click to say yes. I give Facebook permission to send this to StreamYard. So anyway, there you go. Peer Rescue found it by Googling Tufts University bloat study on dogs. There you go. So
thanks, Judy.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. Okay, here we go. We're going to do the drawing.
All right, let's go.
And boy, fingers are crossed. Let's see who wins. Nicole! Wow. Well, I was going to.
Yay!
I was going to say, well, send me your email or send me your shipping information to steve@gprsq.com, but I think we already have it.
I think.
But it'd be nice to hear from you anyway. So go ahead and acknowledge it and let us know if you like the show or not. If you didn't like the show, tell us what you can change. And there's the questions you guys can ask. Okay.
Here's a question too. What would everybody like to see? What would everybody like to
That's a good question.
discuss?
Yeah.
You know, if you guys want to submit those questions, just ask.
Yeah.
We're always open to suggestions.
And we always look at our comments throughout the week.
Yes.
All right. And congratulations, Nicole. That was awesome.
Yes.
And oh, she gave permission. And oh, you're on the phone. I guess I don't know how that works.
You're not- Yeah, I don't know.
It should have worked. The permission should have still worked. Permission is permission. So, oh, she didn't find the new one.
Oh,
Okay. Well, according to this one, she found a new one. But anyway, that's all right. I will find it and we'll get it out here in the comments.
Yeah.
Or I'll get it to Reagan. We'll get the comments. So that wraps us up for our show here. And man, we got work to do. We got rescue work. We've got
Yes.
the leadership of Great Pyrenees Rescue in Missouri up on the show. So I hate to, have to answer your phone right now. So, all right, everybody, we're out of here. We'll see you next week, 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern again. So, right here, Nicole, sorry. Woo, almost didn't make that one. Send me an email.
there we go.
Steve@gprescue.com. Or if you're not comfortable with that, send Reagan an email. Or you can send Linda an email.
Just text me, Nicole.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Linda. You got me out of that one. All right. And that's, well, we keep having stuff coming up here. So,
Judy.
you know, Judy, the show's
Thanks,
over there. You got us on overtime, and
We'll cover some of them next week.
and also too the talking points. If you guys have particular talking points that you want more about, let us know. Okay?
Sure. Absolutely.
That's it. We're done.
See you next week, everyone.
I want you to stay on. We're debuting something at the very end of this exit video. You guys remember our exit video. Watch it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.